So when is your test this time? On Friday?
All right, yeah. So let's explain what we got going on here. So congratulations, done with all new chemistry stuff. If you got to go back and do chemistry stuff, that's perfectly fine. Your grade, that's your final average right now, cannot go down. It will not go down. If you have the grade you want, then everything else is gravy for you. Learn some stuff. We'll talk about what we got going on now. But the only thing that can happen to your grade is it go up. So if you take care of some zeros, it'll raise your grade a whole lot. And if you do anything, even if you have all your zeros taken care of, anything you do this week will only make your grade increase. So what that means is we have 3 days this week: Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Today's Tuesday, where we're going to do a ACT review session. And what I've done is in this module, I'm going to put a video each day of what we do on the ACT review video, so there's nothing there yet. But if you click on today, ACT practice 12/8/20, you'll have 2 little PDFs. And this is an assignment you can do. And pretty much you just submit a text entry box of your answers. There's 2 passages with between 5 and 7 questions each, multiple choice. So all I need is your answers submitted, A, B, B, A, C, whatever. Okay. The first passage we're going to do together on video. Second passage I'm going to have you do on your own. Once again, this is kind of taken away from the chemistry world. The reason that I do this, and a lot of the things that I do in class, since we don't have a final exam anymore from the state of North Carolina for chemistry, is what can I do to help you guys get ready for your ACT next year? Most of you guys are sophomores, which means next year as a junior, all juniors in North Carolina take the ACT, which is a test to see scholarships for college, acceptance to scholars, things like that.
I've already done my ACT test since I'm a senior, so can I focus on this work instead?
You should absolutely be focusing on this work instead of this, absolutely. But you can also do these assignments to help you raise, but the zeros count more than the extra stuff. So absolutely, okay? For everybody else though, like I said, next year you'll take ACT. ACT is in 4 sections. You have math, which a lot of you guys might be having math right now with Miss Admay or Mr. Byram. I work closely with them to make their math class prepare you for the ACT. Then you have reading and grammar. The grammar section, Miss Datch usually helps folks out. And next year, when we have remediation sessions, Miss Datch will help you out with that. And the reading section, either Miss Rawls or Miss Rawls usually helps out folks with that next year as we go as well. Then we have the science section. Science section is last, and it's a misleading title, okay? Because people open their book when they're taking this test and they say, I don't know this. Mr. Tyre didn't teach me this. Mr. Salibi didn't teach me this. Mr. Kessel didn't teach me this. I don't know this science. And so their brain explodes and they just start bubbling and they're done. The purpose of these next 3 days is to show you how it isn't really like that. It is not a matter of knowing science. It's a matter of being able to look at charts and graphs and questions and put answers down that anybody with common sense would be able to do. Does that make sense? So if you open each of these PDFs, okay, what do you say? You can rotate it. Click the little thing that rotates them when you open it. There's a little button right here. It'll rotate it. See? Okay, so rotate it so it's straight. And the reason they're like this is because I scanned them in. Don't get me arrested, whatever. I don't want to try to hit you as you go. But the first thing you'll notice when you open this is that you have 30 minutes to do 30 questions. And when you start looking at the amount of words on the page, you realize pretty quick that that's not a lot of time. The ACT is all about fast answers, getting the most questions right possible in the allotted time. Not panicking on time, not spending 25 minutes on one question, whatever the case may be, okay? Now, for this week, that's not really part of our story because we're going to have relatively unlimited time because you can work on this as much as you want to. And for the exam on Friday, you'll really have all weekend to do it if you want to, okay? So We're not focusing so much on that, but I am going to give you some tricks that you're going to use next year when you will have to worry about the time. The first trick is if you're taking EOCs, all these high stakes tests that you've taken your whole life, one of the first things that people probably told you is to read everything. Read everything very carefully, okay? For my test on Friday, you should absolutely do that. But for the real ACT next year, that is absolutely not something you're doing for science. Now, English and grammar and those classes might tell you something different, but for the science ACT, you do not read the words. You really don't read the directions. Okay, these directions are pretty much the same directions you've read for every multiple choice question you test your whole life. So you absolutely don't read that. Okay, then you keep on and you look at the passage. You don't read this passage. What you do with this passage is you look at it and you try to figure out some big picture takeaways. You look at charts, you look at numbers, and you look at trends. So right off the bat, I'm looking at this and I'm noticing a couple things. How many studies did they do? Look again. 2 studies comparing water depth to chute length. Comparing water depth to dry mass. What is mass? How much stuff you got? Very good. How much you weigh as long as you're on Earth. Okay? So water depth to mass, water depth to length, and then here at the end, mass to length. So we got a pretty good idea. We're talking about some plants because it said length, chute length. But if you don't know that, that's okay. We know we're talking about mass, which is how much you have, and we're putting some stuff in some water. Bam, let's go. We got the baseline information from this. Don't read all this mess. Don't read all this mess. Only if you need to go back and read all that mess. Make sense? So what you do is you take a big snapshot, 15-second, 10-second view of what's going on here. Then you jump onto the questions. Now, some of these questions you're going to absolutely want to do very quick and make sure you hit them first and foremost. And some of them you want to save for last. Now, if you look at your questions here, you don't have to do these questions in order when you take the real ACT. So the first thing I always do is look at them and say, what's the shortest question? And what's the question with the most numbers? And for me, that's actually number 4. Number 4, it looks like a long question, but it's not really that long as far as words. It's only 3 lines of words, which is a tie, I believe, for the shortest question up here, with number 1. And then all of the answers are just straight up charts. Charts comparing mass with length, mass with length, mass with length, mass with length. So without even reading anything, I bet I can take this chart answer and compare it to which of my 3 charts over here? Figure 1, 2, or 3? Very good, because it's mass to length. Now, without even reading a question, look at what this mass does. Mass to length, right? Now look at your answers. I haven't even read the question. What's the answer? Yeah. Now, have we talked about any science yet? All we've done is looked at charts and looked at numbers, and I know for a fact the answer is J. Piece of cake? ACT is about hacking it. ACT is not about knowing stuff. It's about hacking the information. I saw information. I have information that I already have. Maybe G, because it's kind of a similar slope, but J looks good. So let's read the question to make sure. It says, which of the following sets of data points most likely yield the best curve for surviving species B seedlings grown at a depth of 0.4? So let's look at my thing here. 0.4 is my line that's dotted. And so we're looking J, right? Sound good? Number 4, J. Everything else I'm going to do in order. I just wanted to do that out of order to show you when it's time for the real thing, do the easy questions first. That picture looks like that picture. Bubble it, go. Cool? Go ahead, Josh.
I took the
Yeah, everybody did.
It looks exactly like that.
There you go.
But it's, I didn't know anything about it. I thought I was supposed to read everything to itself.
But that's why we're doing this right here.
Okay.
Because I'm here to tell you that's the trick that the ACT people do. They put a whole bunch of garbage up here about seedlings and shoot length, and you're like, man, I ain't even taking biology yet. Screw this mess. And you just bubble abacadabra and you roll on.
Yeah.
Okay? But you don't have to do that. You don't need to know the information to kill ACT science. Okay, so let's look at this. Let's do an order now. Number one. Based on figure 3, right off the bat, I'm only looking at what? Figure 3. I don't care about anything else but that chart right there for number 1. Okay? For a water depth of 0.8, which is which line? The dashed line. The shoot length and dry mass of how many species B seedlings were plotted. Now look at figure B. It tells me mass, it tells me shoot length, it tells me how long the species were. I'll look at the question. Look at the question. For each water depth, the shoot length and dry mass of each surviving species B seedling was plotted. Where do I need to look? I need to know how many species B seedlings survived, right? Go up here. Blah, blah, blah. Mass of surviving species, blah, blah, blah. Surviving species, blah, blah, blah. Over here, the length for surviving species, blah, blah, blah. Does it ever tell me how many seedlings survived? What's the answer?
Not enough information.
Yeah, they never told me. Not enough information. D, let's roll. Don't be afraid to put that. Sound good? Let's carry on. Number 2. Suppose that a 4th group of pots containing species B seedlings has been suspended at a water depth of 0.3 meters. They love to do this. They love, excuse me, they love to give you a question where they give you information in between information you have. 0.3 meters. Look at what I have. I have 0.2 and I have 0.4. I don't have 0.3. The suspended at water depth of 0.3 meters. The average shoot length of these seedlings in late September would most likely have been. All right. So looking at shoot length, the one that deals with shoot length in late September is figure 1. Just shoot length in late September. Okay. So 0.3 goes between 0.2 and 0.4. Are we talking species A or species B? Species B. So we're looking at the darker split spaces, right? 0.2 is about 35. 0.4 is about 41. Pick a number between those two numbers. What's the answer? No, look at the answers. You don't even got to pick a number. What did I just say? Between 35 and 41? What's the answer? 34 and 42. Gee, that's another thing the ACT doesn't do. It doesn't give you answers that are close. Does that make sense? It doesn't, like if this one up here had said G was between 34 and 42 and H was between 35 and 41, holy crap, you better get your ruler out. But they don't do that, okay? They give you straight up obvious answers. Feeling good? Questions on number 2? What's the problem, Josh?
It just sucks.
Well, you know, a lot of things suck that you got to do. Is there a problem?
It's terrible.
Well, I mean, I don't know what to tell you there. You know, things you do aren't fun sometimes. You go through things that aren't fun so you can do things that are fun. Make sense? Yeah. All right, rolling on. Number 3. Conclusion of study 2. A seedling of species B was found to have a dry mass of 400 milligrams and a shoot length of 33. Based on figure 3, this seedling was most likely what? Okay, so we go 400 milligrams, 33 centimeters, 400 milligram, 33 centimeters. What's the length? Let's go. Another answer there. You need to know nothing.
No reading.
You need to know nothing to get that. All right. Carrying on. We already did number 4, so we're skipping to number 5. According to results of studies 1 and 2 for a given water depth, how did surviving seedlings in species A and compared to surviving seedlings of species B. On average, the seedlings of species A had blank and blank. We're talking lengths and mass. Let's look at lengths first. Which one's longer, B or A? B is in general longer, and then for the average dry mass of surviving species A was 2.3 milligrams. 2.3 milligrams for A, and species B was like 400, 350, and 150. So which one had more mass? What? Huh? Which one had more mass, A or B? That's okay. These are all what? Everything in this chart is A or B. B. A is 2.3. Is 2.3 higher or lower than those numbers? 2.3 is higher than 150, 380, and 410. You with me? Okay, so B is longer or shorter? B is longer, and B has more mass. So now we read the question. On average, seedlings of species A were shorter and less. What's the answer? A, species A. Species A. Species A was shorter and smaller. What's the answer? C. Let's go. And then finally, of the 8 species A seedlings grown at a water depth of 0.2, so we're looking at the 0.2 guys, 6 survived. The total dry mass of these surviving species can be calculated using which of the following expressions, right? So first off, this is a question right here that you can answer without even needing the passage. How do you find a total? By how many you have, right? So we get rid of the division ones, and how many survived? Now, how many survived? 6. So what's the answer? Let's go. Holy crap! When they give them to you for free, take them. You with me? Okay. I'm gonna let you try to do your other one on your own. If you have any questions, let me know. Folks at home, do passage 2 on your own. If you have any questions, let me know. That's day 1. We're gonna do this same thing the next 3 days. And then on Friday, you're gonna do 20 questions of this by yourself for your cumulative final. Have a great day. Well, that was with me talking.